We are live. Welcome to my thoughts on Legion, Season 3, Episode 7, Chapter 26. This episode is rated TV-MA, so will this video be. And, like the videos I've done on earlier episodes, this will have spoilers for this episode and the ones leading up to it, and I love every single one of those. So, yeah, let's dive right in. Really glad I'm not going to have to wait for very long. The very next episode is, in fact, the season and series finale, and I can hardly wait. I can kind of see how they might be able to redeem David. If it really does, like, if Farouk never does get into his body and or he receives enough love as a child, yeah, like, he might end up a completely different person. I love how, and you know, on the other hand, maybe they won't be able to redeem him. Maybe he'll end up dead, or in some way there'll be, in some other way there'll be a downer ending, because, like, seasons 1 and 2, they resolve the overall, the season-long plotline, but they also have downer endings, you know. And, I really love how Sid genuinely is now just, you know, her second childhood really did change her. She is really trying to find a way that does not involve killing David. You know, consider, like, before the 20-minute speed run of childhood, second childhood, what about second childhood? She was like, you know, go ahead, you know, Carrie, use the sword, just, you gotta stop him, you know. She was not only ready for him to, well, I guess he wouldn't die, his body would die, but his mind was in Sid. We actually don't know what happens if someone dies while their mind is inside Sid. Do they eventually go back to the dead body, or do they just stay in Sid's body? Anyway, she was risking her own life as well, and now she's like, no, let's not kill baby Hitler. And, you know, just like trying to explain to Carrie, you just can't go around killing babies. And she's like, why? And that is also, that's very in character for her. And I love the bit where she was like, what do we do now? And the time cats, you know, get out the sword, and just like, yeah. And I love that she genuinely, now that Carrie with a K needs her to take care of him, she doesn't hesitate, she doesn't complain, there's no, like, you know, she's like being very, very tender and gentle with him, really taking care of him, and just, you know, she won't leave his side even if there's danger. It just, like, yeah, absolutely love to see it. Let's see, you know, we often see, I was about to say we often don't see her loving side. I think she shows love by being protective. I think that's part of it. Just so often when she's being protective, she's also being fairly, like, physically aggressive, so it doesn't show as much. So I really appreciate this, like, really clear, like, through the looking glass kind of thing. You know, clearly she does really care about him. She wants to keep him safe. And it's also just, it's a great message. When we are in a position to take care of someone who really needs it, yeah, we should. And, you know, ideally without, at the very least, without complaining, where the person we're taking care of can hear it, you know. And let's see, I think that pretty much covered. Yeah, I really loved Sid trying to appeal to Gabrielle, and, you know, them talking about mental health. And, right, I really appreciate the show acknowledging, you know, that's something that I feel is too often forgotten. The Nazis did kill Romani as well. You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, I'm not saying we should forget any of that's kind of my point. We shouldn't forget any of the victims of the Holocaust. And let's see, yeah, and her, you know, she's like, what is the point of life? I've seen a mass grave, you know, and yeah, it is extremely difficult to maintain hope. And she explains, you know, in the wake of that, and she explains, all animals fight for their survival, whether they want to or not, you know. And that is part of why David ended up so messed up. Like, his mother didn't, you know, I don't blame her too much because she's clearly in a lot of pain. But yeah, it did end up with a situation where she did not give him quite enough love. And yeah, I forget, they might have said earlier in the show, did she die when he was a baby? Because I wasn't entirely sure if she did actually die from Farouk entering, you know, the shock of Farouk entering. Yeah, but I mean, she says as much herself. She said, you know, he cries because he knows something. What does he know? Me. You know, to be fair, that might be that he's sensing her pain, but, you know, the point I'm trying to get at, he needed to be shown more love as a baby. I am willing to acknowledge that that wasn't her fault if she really did die early. Anyway, that really does fall more on Charles, and I do really appreciate David confronting him about that. Or was that Divad or DVD? That was also super creepy. Like, it's already creepy when a grown adult refers to their father as daddy. But having all of David's come out, you know, and that's why they keep banging on the doors. They want to confront Charles. Let's see, and yeah, you know, we want revenge. No, we want justice. You know, but yeah, and I do also appreciate, yeah, sometimes, you know, some would say that's a matter of perspective. That's just point of view. I do think if it's revenge, it's probably not justice. Now, let's see, that I forget where, but there was someone who pointed out, you know, justice has to be dispassionate, whereas revenge is not. Am I quoting The Hateful Eight, or was there some other? It was discussed in some movie, which I learned a lot of what I know from movies. Let's see, then we have the, Farouk making his way through the time between time, and we don't see him reach the nest, but I guess maybe he did in order to be able to. That was so creepy, seeing the painting of, you know, and he walks out it and approaches past Farouk, and I love, this is so in character, like, past Farouk, you know, opens his eyes and he's like, interesting, you know, he's not like a clone, what's going on here, you know. Didn't know I had a twin. No, he's just like, I didn't see that coming. I like this surprise, you know. I'm curious to find out what's going on here. Just, yeah. Also really love the tense as a Thanksgiving dinner scene with, you know, he's like, what's going on with David? He's trying to read his mind, and he's seeing the hippie imagery, which, like, at first it looked like he took a step back. He's like, I don't know how to deal with a freaking hippie right now, but, you know, he keeps trying. Let's see. Very true that the food from that part of the world is absolutely delicious. I've been fortunate enough to try some. I loved Charles pointing out he's a person, though. They're all, I think, crap, I forget who he was talking about, but he was like, you're talking about a person, though. That's, you have to treat them with respect, you know, where David, at this point, doesn't really think that much about, you know, it is very me, like Lenny called him out for. And that was perhaps also part of the problem, you know, he didn't have Charles there when he was a kid to teach him the ethics. And to be clear, some people do learn that, some adopted kids do learn that, but sadly not all. And clearly he wasn't, and part of it was also, you know, the demon inside, the devil inside. Let's see, there's definitely more. What was the other thing that I wanted to... I like that Gabrielle can actually perceive Sid, and there's like a few seconds where we're not entirely sure because she couldn't perceive David, you know, which there was a while of this episode where I was like, oh, is it maybe you can't perceive a person traveling into the past unless they're a telepath, which that makes sense. It's, you know, the moment you introduce time travel, you have to be careful. It is a universe-breaking, potentially, you know, kind of thing, but maybe it's that you can only see someone of your own gender. Maybe I don't think Gabrielle ever acknowledged Carrie with a K, so I guess they Carrie with a C. I mean, so I guess it's possible that that's what's going on. I love the couple of things with the time cats that, we see the, wood cutting, poor Stan Marsh, and, the don't steal from my pile, and the then she looks over and none of the wood has been, she's been cleaving them and they've been uncleaved. Yeah, that was a really cool way of saying, and one of the time cats goes right for David in the crib and taking out all the objects in the room one by one, taking away the world's angriest boy doll, and about to go for David. And again, Sid could let this happen, even if she's not okay with participating. There's an argument to be made that letting it happen is not quite the same. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but whatever. But no, she takes out the time cat, and they manage to save Baby David, who several episodes ago, last time we got these kind of flashbacks to Gabrielle and such, no matter her rate of turnover, he just couldn't face her. And let's see, it was cool seeing more of Charles. We actually see Charles meet Farouk. I think that might be it. Let's see. I feel like, am I missing something? Yeah, really creepy with the he's holding up a painting. Is like, that's you, right? That is an effective. I think people should start using that instead of writing the name across just hold up a painting. Give them a little scare. And the shadow silhouette theater was really cool, and the tyrant actually looked somewhat like the Shadow King of the comics. But yeah, that was really cool. And you should never have come. I will never turn down seeing the demon with yellow eyes. That, what was the other thing? Right, yeah, the thing of, the reason Farouk is comfortable with the kids shaking the cage of the monkey is that is technically, inside the monkey is the mind of the tyrant. And inside the kid are all the minds of the tyrant supporters, because, oh my god, yeah, Farouk, at least at that point, really, really terrible person. No wonder David turned out the way he did. Let's see, I did, when David is about to attack Farouk, I did briefly wonder if he was going to break out the Shakespeare, go to be or not to be. I think... And now I've got the Dusty song stuck in my head. The gyrating, pollinating son of a bee. Anyway. And now you do too. You're welcome. I feel like there was one more thing that I wanted to say, but I cannot quite recall. Right. The knowledge. That was such a cool... I love how this show handles stuff like that, because there's so many pieces of media where it would just have been like, David would sit down like, do I have a story for you? And he'd start telling, and then, a fade, and then, the end, Charles says, so that's what Farouk did, some kind of, and we'd be like, oh, okay, during that, they explain. No, let's see it, let's have it, projected onto their faces, so the actors have the actors can act off it and everything, and in order for for Charles to find out, he just eat this. What is it? Well, for one thing, another Alice in Wonderland reference, and then he says knowledge, and I really do appreciate. See, I never understood. I like apples. I never understood how any one apple could be so appealing that you would risk being kicked out of paradise for it. but maybe someone got like the translation wrong or something, and it was originally a slice of cake, in which case, like, okay, can't say I disagree. I will take a life of, you know, sin and pain and misery and death, if, you know, if that's, if that cake is as tasty as it looks in this show.